Let me hit you with this right up front. One bad conversation can wreck a relationship you've spent years building. One careless sentence can kill trust, damage respect, and derail your influence as a leader. And the truth is, most managers think they're good communicators until maybe they're not. They realize they're not. They walk into tough conversations, think it's business as usual. I'm just going to do this the way I've always done it. And they leave that other person feeling defensive, shut down, disrespectful. And that's why today we're diving deep into the roadmap of difficult conversations and how to have the right kind of conversation using the right script and approach with your boss, with your peers, and most importantly, with your direct reports. Before we get rolling, just a quick reminder, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Business Mechanic Show if you haven't yet. And please visit the website, rdltraining.com. That's Romeo Delta Lima training.com. And grab a free download of my book. It's right on there, or you can go to the show notes and grab a copy of it. It'll be very helpful for you. All right, let's tune this engine and get to work. So, why do difficult conversations matter? Here's the deal. Leaders who avoid, mishandle, or bungle tough conversations end up paying the price in three big ways. They end up with damaged relationship. Trust erodes fast when people feel diminished or attacked. And you don't do that on purpose. You just don't realize that how or what you're saying with the tone you're using is having that effect. You're just having a conversation in the way you know how to. I want to help you improve the outcome of those conversations by improving the conversation. And then two, reduce performance. Often, if you're approaching the conversation the wrong way, ears close, interpretation changes, translation changes, comprehension changes, because they don't like how this is coming at them. And so that's all they're thinking about. They're not thinking about what you're saying or what you're sharing with them. Creates confusion along with resentment again. That replaces clarity and accountability. But again, you don't mean to do it. And three, a loss of respect, which is the mother lode of your value to others in the organization. People might still do what you say, but they're doing it out of compliance, not out of willingness, not out of inspiration, not out of wanting to do anything they can to help the company, help you be successful. And that last one, number three, loss of respect is fatal. Once respect is gone, in any relationship, but especially a work relationship, your influence shrinks to zero. You just become wah, wah, wah. And the real danger isn't just a single bad outcome, it's a ripple effect. One mishandled talk can set the tone for how people view you forever, because believe me, they're going to share this bad experience with others, which creates a perception of you that you likely do not want to have, because now everybody's viewing you under this paradigm of you not caring about people, how tough you are to work with, how demanding or rude you are. You don't want that. Of course you don't. Here's some common missteps that managers make. These are landmines. The missteps uninformed managers make all the time. Even owners of companies. Certainly bosses do this. You're a boss too. You're learning to be a better boss. Some of your peers who are bosses, they do it too. Not all of them. Some of them have mastered that, but here I'm giving you the help. So if you go in too hot, if you're about to go into a conversation, your emotions are risen, stop. Too many managers come in with the emotion crank to 10 and raised voices, raised emotions, sharp tones, frustrated body language, your facial expressions, certainly your volume. It doesn't solve problems. It throws gasoline on the fire. The other misstep, the landmine, is making it personal. Saying things like, you're lazy, instead of, I notice deadlines are slipping. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Attack the behavior, not the person. That's the moral to that one. Talk about the behavior, not the person, but you want to be able to, as I share this script with you in a minute, you want to follow the script so that their ears are open to listen to you, their mind's open to accepting it. Here is the most common misstep, landmine, is one-way monologues. When you lecture instead of engaging in a dialogue, they're going to stop listening because, again, you're wah, wah, wah. People shut down when they don't feel heard. So make them feel heard. Ask questions. Collaborate with them. Get them involved in the conversation. And as I've said before, you should be doing 30% of the talking. They should be doing 70% of the talking. Allow them to speak their mind, their experience. The next landmine is failure to prepare. You see, if you walk in blind with no clear goal for the conversation, no real background to the conversation, assuming that you know what happened, that's the intention invention, that usually ends in rambling, blame shifting, or awkward silence. When you get that awkward silence, you know this is not going well. And then this was a little more subtle because very often we think we have one conversation and the situation is resolved, it's fixed. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to follow up. So no follow-up is a landmine. Even when managers handle the talk well, if they don't ever circle back to ensure and inspect that the new behavior or new approach or the new tactic is in place and working, it was just a conversation. It wasn't beneficial to them, you, the company. And you may not do all of these. You may do some of them. You may do some okay. You may do some better. So listen up. If you see yourself in one of these, good. Let's figure it out. Awareness is step one. Stick with me. And we're going to talk about the tools to flip it. So how to handle conversations based on who you're talking to. The script changes depending on whether you're talking to a direct report, a peer, or your boss. So I'm going to give you some real scripts for direct reports. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I'll give you a quick example of some of these for a direct report, a boss, a peer, so that you understand where I'm coming from, just how to EQ this conversation. And with a direct report, keep in mind you hold the authority. That means your words weigh more than you think. We never, or rarely, I should never say never, always and never, don't say those, Vaughn. Most managers rarely understand the impact, the importance you have in your direct reports' lives, the influence, the power you have. And if you lose your filter, that becomes a problem. If you come in swinging, they'll just retreat. They'll likely take a passive approach to this. They may fight back. So let's approach this in a way that's going to help you. Here's the right approach. Say, just as an example, hey, Sam, I noticed deadlines are slipping and I don't want to jump to any conclusions. Can you walk me through what's going on so I might be able to help you? So think about that for a second. I noticed deadlines are slipping. I don't want to jump to conclusions. Can you walk me through what's going on? So you didn't accuse. You noticed that something's slipping, something that's going well. You point that out to them. That's bad. And you're also saying, I'm vulnerable here. I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't want to assume that I know what's going on. I want to know from you what's happening so I can help you. So walk me through what's going on. What's your bottleneck? What's getting in your way? What's distracting you? That's a coaching approach. That's how you can actually help them listen and create a dialogue. So say, hey, I noticed deadlines are slipping. Once they respond, you want to mirror that. Oh, so it sounds like a new client load has stretched you thin. Wow, we didn't anticipate that. So you paraphrase back to them what they've shared with you. They've given you the reason. They've given you maybe an excuse, but you're going to walk them through that. You're going to help them figure out, critically think through that. So it sounds like the new client load has stretched you thin. Did I get that right? And then you want to validate. Hey, man, Totally get it. It's a big shift. We just dumped a bunch of workload on you. That's the EQ. You have to understand. And you truly need to understand. Don't cast dispersions. And then you want to guide them. Let's talk about how we can reprioritize or get you some more support. See the difference? You open without blame. You invite a story from them. Tell me what's going on. Tell me how I can help you, which will not create defensiveness. That's how you uncover the truth. Now, let me throw in my favorite tool, DISC here. If they're, say, a high D style dominant, focus on outcomes and speed. If they're an S style, stability, steady, show empathy and provide reassurance. One is, let's fix it, take action on it. And the other is, oh man, I know this is overwhelming you. You always do a good job and you're very valuable to me. You have to go into more stroking and praise than with a D. Ds don't care about that. Tell me what to do. But in a way that is in a conversation. It makes sense, I hope. If not, reach out to me. We can talk further. Just email me. Now, with a peer, somebody you work with, peers are trickier. You don't have any authority here. You can strong arm your way through this, but this is about alignment, not control. So again, all the things I've already said come into play, but let's talk about a peer conversation using the right approach. Say something like, hey, Wally, since we weren't aligned on how that meeting went, want to look me through what we both saw so I can figure out what you saw versus what I did? Hey, Wally, I got the sense we weren't aligned on how this meeting went, man. Walk me through what we both saw so we can get aligned on this. And then as they respond, they're walking you through that. You want to mirror that. You want to, you wanted a quick decision. I'm always focused on accuracy. I understand that we're misaligned here. You want it quick. I want precise. That's the way I always am. So then validate. I absolutely understand why speed matters in your role. I get it. Let's see how we can change some things to both get accuracy and speed. And then you want to guide. Let's do this. Let's align next time before we walk into a decision trap like that and talk through, practice a little bit how we want the outcome to look so that we're a concerted front. It's teamwork. You're not accusing, you're not blaming. Let's work together. So you say, you mirror, you validate, you guide. Why does this work? You're using we language. I get the sense we weren't aligned. We language. You're not saying you, saying we. You're building psychological safety instead of letting resentment fester, potentially offending somebody. Who does this person think they are? And back to the DISC again. If you're working with a high I, well, they want appreciation. They want to be liked. They want to be acknowledged. So make sure you do that. Great idea. Oh, man, you always come up with the smartest approaches. I get where you're coming from. Excellent job. Or if you're dealing with a C style, compliance, they want clarity. They want detail. Give them that. And then you cut through the tension. Allow them time to ask questions. Invite them to ask questions so you can provide them with the detail that they require. And with a boss, this is high stakes. And a lot of this depends on your relationship. But you start using these kind of approaches, and it's likely that your relationship with the boss is going to improve. But we got to always understand we have to manage up, across, and down. And this is you managing up. And the risk you run here is looking defensive or combative or not being a team player or being entitled. So you have to be really careful. Keep that in mind. So the right approach here is say, hey, boss, I wanted to check in. I noticed some confusion around team priorities. We're all over the place. Am I missing something in the bigger picture? Hey, boss, I wanted to check in. I've noticed some confusion around team priorities. Am I missing something in the bigger picture? Did something change? And then validate. Okay, I got it. I see what else is going on. That's helpful context. Thanks for sharing that. And then guide. Hey, listen, would you be open to me restructuring our roadmap based on that? I want to get everybody aligned and moving forward as effectively as we can. So you say, you validate, you guide. And why does this work? Well, you're showing ownership. You're not finger pointing. You're asking, not telling. You're not tattletelling. You're aligning your work with the bigger goals. That's always important to bosses. But wherever they are in their management style will determine how involved they are. Are they even aware of what you're aware of? And assume no. And back to this, a lot of bosses are high Ds. Well, they want action. They want quick decisions. They want stuff to happen. They want bullet points. They don't want a lot of fluff. They don't want a lot of detail. They just want assurances that you're going to take care of it, that you're willing to step in, take the same amount of initiative that they have, and get this thing going right. Conversely, if you have a C-style boss, a high compliance boss who loves accuracy, takes time to make decisions, they want facts. They want a plan. The D boss, they just want action. The C boss wants a plan. So adapt your delivery accordingly. So some best practice. Let's talk about this for every difficult conversation, no matter who you're talking to. Here's the universal roadmap. Step one, always start with curiosity, never accusations. Start with curiosity. Go in ready to learn, ask questions, create that pool of collective knowledge. You have to have your emotions in check. You can't be ready to go in for a fight or to prove them wrong. Be open to new information, changing your mind. Number two, reflect on their perspective. Use mirroring to prove you're listening. So that paraphrasing back to them or mirroring back to them confirms that you were listening to them, that you get it, that you accept it. And then you want to, 3, validate emotion. Show your feelings, not mad feelings, true feelings, EQ. Make sure they're real, and that way you get higher levels of respect. Because you're calm, you're collected, you're curious, you're listening. And then 4th, you want to guide the path forward. Bring it back to solutions, not problems. We will problem solvers, not problem pointer outers. Come with solutions. Let's work through a solution. You do this, and what used to be difficult conversations will become very productive ones. Why is this so critical? If you don't master this, here's what happens. And I say mastery. It takes a long time to master this. But if you don't, you run the risk of people stop being honest with you or coming to you at all. Be careful. If you are difficult yourself with your conversations, that will cut you off from the conduit of information or them even coming to ask questions. They'll go to each other. They may go to somebody else. They'll work around you to avoid the conflict, avoid the butt whooping. And those problems that should be coming to you to help them solve it, well, they get hidden until they explode. And then you've got a big mess on your hands. And you're going to wonder, why didn't somebody say something? Well, they likely don't say something because you're not easy to say things to. And you don't ever want to become that boss that everyone avoids. You probably had them. I certainly have had them. And you might not notice it right away, but the damage is happening behind closed doors. It's in whispered conversations. It's in gossip. It's in disengaged meetings. And sometimes results in employees updating their resumes because you don't create a positive environment for them to work in. I'm not saying you need to manipulate people. You need to respect others as you expect respect, because the cost of failing this is massive, not just in performance, but in the trust and respect and your entire leadership reputation. Be careful with that. And very often these conversations go wrong because we don't know any better. That's why you're listening to this podcast. And let me give you just a couple advanced tips and add-ons. Here's a few extra best practices from the field, from the front lines that I've learned and I've used and had very good results from. Your body language. Keep your arms relaxed, your voice steady, your tone calm. Make sure you get that lower register. You're making eye contact. You're maybe leaning forward slightly, but you're not being intimidating. But people hear with their eyes before they hear your words. So you need to be open, approachable, non-combative. Watch your face, watch your body. And most importantly, the intention and invention. Do not assume intent. Saying things like, why are you disrespecting me? Why are you always late? That stuff is a trap, my friends. Stick to the facts. I notice you arrived late 3 times this week. What's going on? It's a fact. And I want to know what's going on. Maybe something's changed. Maybe they got a sick child or a sick spouse, or the bus routes changed, whatever. Traffic's gotten worse. Something, but you really want to find out. Find out their truth. And this is very powerful. This next thing is silence. Use it strategically. Sometimes the most powerful move is just shutting up and letting the other person process and talk. You know yourself how many times you've worked through a problem and solved it just by talking about it. It's one thing for it to be in your head. When they start talking about it and you encourage more and more information, more and more talking out of them, very often they see it themselves, so you don't have to point it out. It's miraculous. And to set all this up, you need to rehearse your opening. Those first 10 seconds set the tone. And so you might want to think about and write down your opening line and practice it until it feels natural, just those first 10 seconds. And then this is really important to help you remember to check back in or catch them doing it right, or to help them course correct if it's not, is follow it up in writing. Get it, take that conversation, put it into some bullet points, some takeaways, just a short recap email. That helps anchor the clarity and accountability, and it makes it real. So let me close this thing out. Leaders, let me be straight with you. If you ignore this skill, you're gambling with your reputation and the relationships you have with the folks who work with you. But if you master it, you become unstoppable. You'll build teams that trust you, peers who collaborate with you, people who want to work with you, not for you, and bosses who see you as a partner, as a valued asset to the organization, a fellow problem solver, not a problem. Well, here's the next step. Hit that like button, share this episode with a colleague who needs it. You may know a couple. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And don't forget to go to RDL Training, that's Romeo Delta Lima Training.com, and download your free copy of the Roadmap to Difficult Conversations. It'll be your guide to having better and better conversations. There's a link in the show notes, and you can get it from the website. So once again, this has been the Business Mechanic Show with Vaughn Sickman, the co-founder of Results Driven Leadership. And until next time, keep tuning your leadership engine for peak performance.